This is the Dealer Playbook. Hey, welcome to episode 84 of the Dealer Playbook podcast, where every week we deliver creative strategies for you, today's automotive professionals. I'm Michael Cirillo, joined again by Robert Wiseman. What's going on?
What's happening?
It's happening, man. 82 episodes later, we've got Mr. Craig Lockard back on the show. He's always good for some really cool, out-of-the-box thinking, and definitely this show will not spare any expense in that regard, hey?
Mm-hmm. No, not at all. Craig Lockard, in case any of you who aren't aware, he is the, founder, CEO, president of Automax Recruiting and Training. Yep, definitely.
I mean, he's got, if I understand correctly, and we'll find out when this airs, but I think he's got the largest, or has hired the most and recruited the most automotive professionals in the industry, in history. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have been recruited.
And he's very data oriented as well with that, and just he really understands a lot when it comes to personnel in this business. And I think that's why he's great for this particular session that we have today.
Yeah, so definitely we've lined up a cool show for you. We think that the topic, especially today, which you're going to hear us intro after a quick break, you're gonna really dive into this one and like it, because it's all about something. Robert said it perfectly. In this episode, you're going to be able to take this stuff and just do something with it immediately, and we're really excited to share that info with you. So, without further ado, let's dive in.
Mr. Craig Lockard.
And here we are, 82 episodes later. The return of the recruiter himself, Mr. Craig Lockard. Thanks for being back on DPB.
Oh, I couldn't be happier. 82, that's mind-blowing, dude.
Can you believe
that's
that?
Unbelievable.
This is episode 84, and you were episode 2. Well, 82 episodes.
82 episodes different.
Crazy.
Wow. I can't believe, and you haven't killed Wiseman yet. That's the real.
Well,
we're on opposite sides of the continent.
Yeah, it'd be hard for him.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to pass on that.
Yeah. So, pumped to be back with you. We're glad that you're back on the show. We've got a really cool topic. Something that we were just chatting about here pre-show. I think, this is a really good topic because it's something that is talked about so much. You were even mentioning, and we see it all over the place on social media, people talking about in-store culture, which I think we would all agree is very, very important. Culture can make or break so many layers of things. Customer experience, employee experience, satisfaction in the workplace, all those sorts of things. But what you mentioned really kind of stood out to us. You had said that, typically the conversation is top down. Oh man, that sounds all great, but I'm, quote unquote, just a salesperson. I don't really have an effect on store culture. My managers don't want this, that, the next thing. But you actually suggest that people should focus on creating their own personal culture. So it doesn't matter. I guess that eliminates the whole top down theory. What do you mean by that? Let me turn that over to you.
Yeah, well, thanks, Michael. And I think it's an interesting topic, because if you follow social media, if you go to an automotive conference, it's managers and ownership getting killed constantly. It's culture, environment, no training. I perpetuate it. The name of a lot of my presentations when I speak at conferences, the title is, "Did you hire him dead or kill him after you got him?"
Sure.
So I'm right at the lead of pointing the finger to management and ownership. But frankly, when you think about it, let's go from here. And these are NADA stats, so let's go over those stats. They say 71%. Let's just round it off. 70% turnover in the sales department of automobile dealerships. Okay. 90% turnover with females in the sales floor. 90%, 9 out of 10. Now, I cannot, if you say it out loud, can that be 100% ownership and management's fault? Does the finger get pointed 100% at ownership and management? Or does some of that responsibility lie in the employee's hands? Can the employee, in fact, help change the culture or the environment of their workplace? I say in some, not all cases, but I say, let's say for argument's sake, if you got a sales staff of 10 people and 7 leave during the course of the year, couldn't 3 or 4 of those people, let's say 3, 4, were from poor management, lack of training, whatever.
Sure.
So it's pointed towards management or ownership. Let's just say that that's the case. Mm-hmm. Well, how about the others? Isn't there a chance that the other 2 or 3 or 4 that got let go or quit or what have you, couldn't they have changed the culture somehow? Let me illustrate my point by a little this research that I read about. I think it's kind of interesting. These researchers took 4 chimpanzees, took 4 chimps, put them in a closed room. Don't laugh, Robert.
They sold 20 cars a month.
Right. No. Drum roll. A rim shot. So they take 4 chimps, put them in a room, put a ladder in the room, and a platform on the ladder. On top of the platform, they put a bunch of bananas. This is true. Okay? So one of the chimps smells the bananas, starts to go up the ladder. Someone hits him with a hose, like a fire hose with a water, blows him off the ladder. Next chimp, he's going to try. He goes up the ladder to get the bananas. Fire hose, bang, blows him off the ladder. Third one gets a couple steps up. Fire hose comes out. He scatters down. So they're not going to climb. They've been conditioned to know that if they climb that ladder to get those bananas, they're going to get hit with that fire hose. Now, here's where it becomes a little interesting, I think. They swap out one of the chimps with a chimp that has not gone up the ladder yet, hasn't gotten hit with the hose. So that chimp comes in, goes over towards the ladder, gets on the first rung of the ladder. The other 3 chimps attack him to not allow him to go up to the ladder because they don't want to see him get hit with the water hose.
I see where this is going.
Then they switch out a second chimp, put another chimp in that has not been in the room before. That chimp goes towards the ladder to get the bananas. They all attack him, won't let him climb up.
Even the one that didn't go up.
Correct. Eventually, they switch all 4 out. And what happens? None of them go up the ladder because they've been conditioned by previous chimps or salespeople that this is a bad place. This is a bad place to work. Their advertising sucks. Who ordered all these white cars? Why are we Why are we standing outside 4 hours in the rain at 43-degree temperature?
There's no training.
There's no training. Yeah, the last training I got was from a guy by the name of Jackie B. Cooper on an 8mm film. Come on, this place sucks. They got to be doing better down the street. Let's go. Or I can always be a server at Fridays, or I don't know. You get the story though. So what happens is that based on a culture. Now, who's holding the fire hose? That's an important. Maybe.
Yeah.
Half
I don't know. Everything you just described sounded like
people.
Everything you just described in that story sounded like my adventure to the McDonald's play place over the weekend. So I don't know who is holding the fire hose.
Right. It could be management, but couldn't it also be, Robert? You've been in this. Michael, you've been in this. Haven't we been outside on the blacktop and we get in the dope ring? We're smoking cigarettes. We're standing around. And we're not pumping each other up out there. We're destroying each other.
Yeah.
Right? The conversation is this place sucks.
I can't believe they have us working on Halloween and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
All negative.
Really?
Energy.
Midnight sale? Are you serious? You know what? People are going to come here at midnight? I don't think so. And so maybe that's the fire hose. So maybe we as salespeople are the fire hose. Now, can things be changed by management? Sure. Would an up system, perhaps, a process be a better way? Yeah, maybe, probably. Would shifts be better? Yeah, probably. Would team captains and offer up more training? Yeah, probably.
But all those put you at the mercy of waiting for leadership and other people to implement and execute on that.
Exactly. And who taught them? Right?
Yeah.
So it's like Paul DePosta is, if you guys remember, the book Moneyball, Paul was the analytic guy to Billy Beane.
Yeah.
He's now actually happens to be on the Cleveland Browns management staff. He's a brilliant guy, Harvard. He said, there's a quote in Moneyball where he said, if we weren't always doing it this way, is this the way that we would start? And I think that's really important in our business. And I think that's a really important question, because I think the answer would be no. If we weren't always doing everything that we do inside an automobile dealership, from the decision to initially hire people, to how we onboard them, how we interview them, how we look for them, it's just every part of it. After they get on, how we attempt to,
and then even the customer, even the process of once somebody comes in, even handling a customer or prospect as well. Correct.
That's right. That's right. So why can't I, as an individual salesperson, if I want to be great, if I want to be good, but if I want to be great, why can't I come to work here? This is no kidding. When I first started selling, I was 21 years old, and I worked with a bunch of old guys like my age. They were all 60, and I thought they were like 400, right? So there was me and a bunch of old guys, and my manager was a brilliant guy, just happened to get lucky, and I was a train wreck. I mean, I was a train wreck. I drank. I had personal issues. They were like tons of them. I mean, they would make a book, a bad one.
So you sound like, you mean a normal car salesman?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So this guy, I'd come in late. I'd come in disheveled. I'd come in, pissed off. I'd come in just a wreck, and ready to wreck everything around me. A bunch of old guys I couldn't relate to. So my manager sat me down. He said, dude, he hands me 2 coat hangers. I said, well, am I getting fired or something? He said, no. He said, go put these in your car. And what I want you to do is, in the morning, I want you to stop. Is there a tree or a fence or somewhere on the way in to work in the morning between where you live and the dealership? I said, yeah. He said, okay, I want you to actually stop your car and take all that crap that you bring to work here every day. I want you to get out of your car. I want you to neatly fold all that crap, put it over the hangers, hang it on a tree, leave it there, get back to your car, come to work. And if you want to take that crap home with you, then go ahead and do that and ruin your home life. But when you're at the dealership, you're going to be on point. Got it? I said, are you serious? He said, yeah, I'm serious. And I actually did that. So what that did for me was that I could control my own attitude. I could control my own behavior. And within 4 months, now this is kind of weird, I was at a Plymouth dealership. Top guy there sold like 298 cars the previous year. I started selling 25 cars a month. He freaked out and left the dealership because he knew I was going to beat him. And the whole culture, slowly, they started replacing these old guys my current age, these old guys with younger people, with younger salespeople. And over time, in a relatively short period of time, and I didn't think about it at the time as it was happening, other than, the sales staff's getting younger. That's cool. I can actually relate to these people. The culture actually changed of the dealership. Some of the lying, some of the cheating, some of the illegal activities that went on, we were actually instrumental in getting the listening devices taken out of the dealership. The place was wired. Under the desk were a button that you would push that would turn your phone into a device that you go in the manager's office. He had a big speaker box with toggle switches. So when you left your customer, you hit this button, and anything that they were saying at your desk could be heard in the manager's office. You guys with me on that?
Oh, wow.
So some young guys. So and that never set well with me. We got some younger people in there, And we ultimately went to management with, hey, you know what? This don't feel right. It doesn't feel right. Now, months later, they came in with the wiretap laws and they had to pull them out of there. But prior to that, we got them. So we actually affected change in the dealership. And I believe to some extent, now management has to be on board, but to some extent, we as salespeople, we as employees, we in the BDC, in the internet department, answering the phones, think of that. Who's going to manage that attitude every day? Who's going to manage that receptionist's attitude every day when he or she answers the phone with that monotone, let me get you off the phone, get you placed real quick, the way he or she answers the phone? Who's going to control that culture? That person has to. Mm-hmm. But they have to be given the opportunity to as well.
Well, let me ask you this: does it even come down to where it matters? Okay, I see where you said that you started and then it kind of became a ripple effect to where then the entire store's culture changed. But let's say that aside, I mean, the person you can still go in and kind of just build your own around you, correct? Yeah, your own culture around you. It doesn't matter what else is going on there. So that guy listening in, and I come from that kind of environment when I worked, there was no training. I invested in my own training. I invested in and took control and did everything that wasn't provided for me or I thought that would better me, this and that. That's one example. But so for today's day and age, the guy sitting in there that's in that negative place where the management is, was taught by that generation that it's still, they're trapped in all of the negative ways and things that we always talk about in this industry. What's the steps? Where do they go with this?
This stuff's going to sound simple, but you got to sit down and have a discussion with yourself, and you really got to get real with yourself, and you got to change. You got to change. You got to get in your car and go to work in the morning and say, look, nothing, this isn't going to affect me. This is part of my life. This is not my life. This is part of my life. And I'm going to take control of this part of my life, and I'm going to win today. And I'm going to help somebody purchase a car today, regardless of what's going on around me. And maybe, just maybe, because I don't know what's happening in that guy's life, that manager that's a jerk off, his kids could be on drugs. He could be behind on his bills. His wife could be cheating on him. Who knows what's going on with him or her? Mm-hmm. So who am I to judge the way that they react to situations in the dealership? Do we as employees have no personal responsibility to our culture? I say that we do. And I say that we can, to some effect, change things, but we have to change ourselves. I can't change you. I can't change Michael. I can't change the way you guys lead unless I change myself first. I have to be the right guy, the right employee first to have any possible effect on the way that the two of you lead.
Do you think, Craig, that perhaps part of the hesitation on this is like going back to your analogy, your story? I mean, we've been conditioned to do things a certain way, but do you think there is still, because undoubtedly there's people listening to this going, yeah, you know what? I am in control. I can control the culture of I call it my personal brand, or, the different elements that are in control, how I handle the phones, etc. Do you think, though, there's still this underlying, call it, fear of having the leadership's approval or not?
Sure there is. I think that's true in any business. And I think the bigger the business, the bigger the problem. Mm-hmm.
And I think, Craig, not to cut you off, but this just give you context in what you're saying is, I don't even think it comes down to just the leadership. I think it's the peers along with them that even make that difficult for them, even maybe more so, because when you become the rainmaker, and you're making it happen, management is treats you better than they treat their wife. I've been there.
Yeah.
But the other people, as soon as you try to do something different, as soon as you have the positive attitude, or as soon as you, stay clear of them or start doing anything different, start thinking different, reacting different, they automatically treat you different.
You're exactly right. They're the chimps.
Yes.
There's no question about it. You couldn't be more dead center. And that perpetuates itself. That could go on forever. That's why some of these trainers and so forth say, look, if you got a 30-car person there at the dealership and they don't want to get on board with your CRM and this and that or whatever, blow them out. And I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that, because that person could destroy, not management, that employee, that salesperson could destroy that entire culture. We do all these green pea sales training and recruiting classes, right? We walk into dealerships. You would think that the other salespeople would be mad that we were there. Oh boy, they're hiring more salespeople. They're going to cut up the pie. I guess I got to start looking. No, man, most of these guys' eyes light up because they know they're going to get half deals. They're going to get half deals, and they know they're going to be able to blow these people out in a short period of time. How screwed up is that? That's not a management problem. That's a peer problem, like you just said, Robert. So if it's you and me on a sales staff, and you're the bad apple, if the saying is true, one bad apple spoils a whole darn bunch. Why isn't the reverse true? If you and Michael, Robert, are bad, if you guys are rotten guys.
Let's go with you're rotten. And Michael are good.
Okay. Yeah. All right. We could go either way.
If you don't mind, yeah, please.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. All right. So you think? All right. Well, this will be harder for me, though.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So either way, why can't I affect you in a positive manner, or why can't you affect me, or why shouldn't we at least try? Why not? What's the worst thing that could happen? I mean, are we going to take it out back and get in a fist fight over it? I would hope it didn't come to that. If it comes to that, then somebody's got to leave. But can't. I mean, we're adults. Can't I say to you, hey, dude, take that negative stuff somewhere else. I don't want to hear it today.
You know what it is, though? It's that, like, oh man, it's this day and age that we live in where everyone's throwing the hypocrite card. Like, there ain't no respect for the person who's trying, it almost feels like. So it's like, that scenario, and I mean, I've encountered it in workplaces. It's like, you know what? I'm going to do my darndest today to like be more positive or whatever. And the first thing that happens is, you'll have that interaction with one of your peers, like we've been talking about, and they'll be like, what's your deal? Like, who's making you so happy today? And you're like, oh man, I'm just trying to turn over a new leaf, trying to be more positive. Oh, really? Says the guy who last week, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, it gets thrown in your face left, right, and center instead of like, you know what? Well, like, let's try it. Like, and I think that's where a lot of people get cut off from that. They go in, good attitude. Yeah, man, I'm going to turn things around today. They get hit by the peers who call them out like, oh, really? Last week you were the person that did this and this. And then you're like, oh, man, I'm a hypocrite.
Oh, man, that sounds like me. That's what I Cyril, I'd say that to you.
Yeah, well.
And it's hard, though, too, real quick. Sorry, Craig, is that it's not that these are just like peer, like people that you go to work with, that we work in our own separate thing for 8 hours a day. Nah, man, we're with these people in this business. You're usually around these people more than you're around anywhere else, so it becomes even more challenging.
Well, it's knowing how to deal with the dream stealers, because the minute they see you trip up and they point you out, they point it out to you, because there are people like that, unfortunately. It's knowing how to handle it. So it's like, how do I maintain my culture? Like, I'm turning over a new leaf. Here's what I want to be able to do. I've taken back control. How do I deal with, the people when they call me out or try and force me back into the hole from which I'm trying to emerge? You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a process or a mindset around that as well. Like, hey, yeah, that's going to happen, but here's how I deal with, let's call it the haters or the dream stealers.
Right. Well, I have an answer. I have an answer for that. I'll tell you what I do, and it's just something that I borrowed, heard, stole somewhere along the way. But yeah, let me preface it by telling you a quick story, kind of like what we're talking about here. I don't know. It was 6, 7, 8 months ago. I'm at the gym. I'm stretching to begin my workout. Now, where you would stretch is also where would be a last station of a workout area where a guy would just be finishing up, like, I don't know, 6, 7 feet away. So I'm getting ready to work out. This guy's ending up, and he gets off this machine, and he's just like, "Oh my God, man! I shouldn't have been here today. Every bone in my body hurts. That sucked." He said, "My shoulder hurts so bad." I said, "Man, I know what you're talking about.
Was that
I
me?
did something to my I did something. I did something to my knee, man." And so I start, and I mean, it's back and forth. And now this conversation took no more than 100 seconds, but within 100 seconds, we told each other of our physical and mental ailments in a matter of 90 seconds, where I literally left the gym. My knee started hurting. This is true. My knee started hurting so bad because my mind told it to. I went back in the locker room, got dressed, and went home. Now, so that's how strong that those negative vibrations can affect you. And what I do is I affect a state change on myself. Now, this is going to sound a little far out there. And there's some other things that I do that might be too far out for some of the listeners. But one of the things that I do, or what I was taught to do, was to clearly identify in my brain the problem, the situation. Could be a person, could be a place, could be a thing, could be an organization, whatever it is, to really visualize it, to see it very, very clearly in my mind, and put it in a department inside my brain, and like move it to the bottom right part of my brain. Okay, now this is getting a little weird, I know, but just hang with me. Then, to make it even weirder, I create an army. Now, my army is on horses with armor and big spears and swords, and they come marching down, and they come roaring down this mountain and beat the crap out of this problem, this situation, this person I'm having an issue with, this negative attitude, and I change my state myself by mentally winning that war. Are you guys with me or not? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that works for me. Now, does it work for everybody? I don't know. Does it take some practice? Yeah, it took me some practice. Does it work all the time? Absolutely not. Nothing does. I also happen to, I'd like to think I'm a relatively spiritual person. So I start my day off in a certain way, which affects the rest of my day. Our physical nature, and Robert, you've heard me say this a million times, our physiology affects our psychology, which affects our actions. If we feel like crap, if we're sick, don't eat right, don't take care of ourselves physically, we're going to think poorly. Our psychology is going to be all screwed up. And then consequently, our actions are going to be bad. So
no one's going to want to buy from you.
Right. No one's going to want to deal with you at work. So then when that situation at the office happens and you're in a bad place, your psychology's in a bad place, there's only one or two ways you can go. You could jump right into that negative junk and be part of the problem. Or if you've done some certain things and changed your state of mind, then you can become part of the solution. And frankly, I don't care if somebody takes me on about, Craig, 2 weeks ago, you did this or that. Yeah, so what? I'm not perfect. Sue me. But what I'm telling you right now is, dude, keep that negative stuff away from me. I'm not into it.
Yeah, as of today, keep it away.
Yeah. Right. 2 weeks from now, I might be right back in it, and you call me out of it. You hold me accountable. I'm all for that, and I'll hold you accountable. We got a deal? And the first one that screws up has to buy the other one lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've had enough of, and I make a living off of people pointing fingers at management saying that they suck in hiring or suck in training. That's how I make a living. But when I really think about it, it's not all management's fault. It's not all the dealership's fault, that culture, that poor environment. Is it partly their fault? Yeah. In some dealerships, could it be mostly their fault? Of course. But as an employee, we have to have some responsibility to the success of what the whole does, the environment and the culture of that business that we work at. I'm absolutely convinced.
Okay, so
and of ourselves too, of our own success.
That's what I was just going to say.
The group, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this in kind of winding this down a little bit. Mindset definitely. I think that's so important. Loud and clear on that one. Also, essentially taking a personal inventory on yourself and having, like you said, having that discussion with yourself to identify, self-awareness. Yeah. To have that self-awareness. But in winding this down, if you had to give us the next, say, 3 action items that you would take to creating your own personal culture, where would you go?
Excuse me. I would start out with, like I just ended, I would pick someone at the dealership. And I would, Robert, I want to come to you with something that's really far out, man, and just hang with me here. I want to be better. I want to sell more cars. I don't like the way things are going on here at the dealership. And I've hung out with you long enough to know that you're not really jumping up and down about this joint either. So I need you to be, for lack of a better word, let's call it accountability partners. Mm-hmm. When I screw up, when I get negative, when I start complaining, I start bitching, I need you to come to me and say, whoa, dude, you're wrong. Slow down. Call me out on it. Yeah. And when you do it, I'll call you out on it too. So the first one does it, we buy each other lunch or whatever.
So you're saying you find yourself an internal accountability partner that's kind of on the same, that wants to do better, that wants more, and that's struggling kind of in the same lines that you are.
Absolutely.
All right.
Then next, I would go to my managers. And I'd sit down with them and say, look, I'm having a problem, man. I'm having a problem, and it's mostly a me problem. But I'm coming to work with a lousy attitude, and I end up blaming you. I end up blaming the other man. Finance can't get anybody bought. The used car manager's trying to steal all my trades, and he's burying us in everything he buys at the auction or at the curb. And someone's screwing with my paycheck. I mean, my head's all screwed up, and I need your help. I need you, when I start going negative like that and start going off the rails, as my manager, as my leader, as my mentor, as my supervisor.
Confidant.
I need you to help me. Would you do that for me? And I think we'd be shocked.
Yeah. Well, when I look at stuff like that it's that, first off, they're probably not going to tell you to get a box, fill it up, and leave by doing that. Second, maybe they're not going to help you out, but you know what? Maybe they will. Maybe something will come out of it.
Maybe they will. Maybe they'll take you to lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Discuss it over a lunch.
Right. Yeah. Who knows what? There's the worst thing that can happen is, like you said, he hands you a box. All right. So I go somewhere else and sell cars. All right. That's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Right. So that, and then like I said, the mind state, the changing your state prior to getting in your car to going to work every morning, Michael. I think that's. I mean, we all do it. As business leaders, as business people, the three of us do it. It's not. I don't wake up out of. I don't get out of bed every morning going, "Oh man, what a great day! I get to deal with 45 employees and." Get to talk to car dealers all day long and tell them I charge too much. This is awesome. I can't wait.
You don't? I do the routine from Singing in the Rain when I get
right. So I got to get my head straight.
Yeah.
And I look out my window. I take my dog for a walk. I get myself right. I look out into my backyard. It happens to be a forest. So I get my, meditate, call it what you want. I get my head on straight, then I exercise, and then I go for it, and I eat something.
You've got a routine.
Yeah, I got a routine, and I get my mind right before I pick up the phone,
sure,
or before I go on social media.
Yeah.
If I woke up and turned on Facebook, you guys would not like some of the stuff. You guys think, I'd like to think that most people think I'm a pretty decent guy, but you wouldn't want 6 a.m. Facebook messages from me. Or posts from me. It wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
So
and you know what I like about that is you're talking about routine and anybody who's achieved some measure of well, it doesn't matter, happiness, success, monetary success, whatever you deem success, they all kind of say the same thing, and that's have a morning routine. It includes elements of health and fitness. It includes elements of perhaps meditation. It includes, like, even if you look at like Gary Vee. I mean, I remember watching an episode where he was talking about how he deals with kind of that heavy mental state. And I mean, he's in a different position because he runs his company, but he's like, I go home and I go to sleep as fast as I can. And I'll wake up, he's like, it doesn't happen very often, but I just go to sleep. So he basically learned, his routine is he learns how to shut his brain off when he experiences, extreme stress or extreme problems so that he can come back out of it fresh. And, you've shared your routine. And I mean, and that's really like, people, those of you listening in, you have to figure out how to do you, but you need to take the time to figure out what routine is actually going to stick with you,
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's different for everybody, obviously, but
get your think straight. Everybody gets their think straight in different ways.
Yeah, man.
Some dudes listen to heavy metal, whereas like if I listened to heavy metal, it would put me into I'd be, I mean, so, but everybody's got their own individual things. So I guess I wanted to just point out for those listening in, I mean, it's you need to take, what Craig talked about, you need to take inventory on yourself and identify how you can do you the best that you can, and be self-aware and know what perhaps triggers stress, what doesn't, what triggers happiness, what doesn't, all those sorts of things, and work that. I mean, dude, if like Craig, you have to reenact like 4 of the battle sequences from Braveheart to,
exactly.
In your mind to like, then that's perfect. And that works for you. If that doesn't work for you, and it's like
Bruce Springsteen's greatest hit.
Yeah, there you go. So love it. Absolutely. So, Craig,
here's something, though. I'm
okay.
sorry, Michael, before we wrap this up. Also, which I like that you didn't bring up, Craig, and this is what a lot of people that on the outside talk about in this business is staying away from the huddle and then the other negative employees, this and that. And when people say that to me, it's kind of hard for me to get that. Have they been there? In that environment? Because it's hard to stay away from people that you're working with every single day for half a day for 12 hours plus.
Yeah, it really is. And that, well, I mean, that could be a whole other discussion, but in my opinion, now that is a process issue, I think. You put people out, like I said, you put people out on a point in 43-degree weather when it's raining. You could be King Kong. You're going to start complaining at some point. So, that's a whole nother. That is a management issue. There's a better way to handle.
And it's hard to tell somebody don't be friends and get along with people you're going to be around 12 to 14 hours a day and still go to work with that great attitude. That's
well, you're
tough.
right. Yeah, it's like, and maybe the selection process was, it's like a marriage or a relationship, right? If you shouldn't have gotten married in the first place, you can go to a whole bunch of marriage counseling. And other than maybe killing the other person, I don't think that marriage is ever really going to be fully rich or successful. So, if you're with people that you're with people, like you said, 60 hours a week, man. Yeah, it's hard to stay away from.
You have to yourself figure out how you're going to intake what they're giving you and know to just let it go out of your brain. And when it's time for you to get down and get dirty, that it doesn't affect you. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Craig, man, great work, brother. It's always great. 82 episodes later, man. His audio sounds better on his end. Love it.
Yeah.
It's like we progressed.
Bought that microphone you told me to.
Love it, man. Hey, Craig, so where can our listeners get in touch with you?
They can call 800-878-5090. That's 800-878-5090. I'm extension 5. There's a whole bunch of goofy extensions, though. You should listen to them. They're kind of funny. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Our website's automaxrecruitingandtraining.com. We are literally everywhere. Google Plus, Twitter.
We'll link you up all your things. But
I'm surprised you didn't sing that 800 number like the Empire commercial.
I'm going to practice that.
There you go. 805. Yeah.
So 82 episodes from now, Craig is going to sing his 800.
He'll have it mastered by then. Hey, Craig, thanks so much for joining us on DPB.
Thank you, guys. You're
Thanks,
awesome,
bro.
All right, have a good one.
And there you have it. On back from 82 episodes later, the recruiter, Mr. Craig Lockhart. What'd you think, Cirillo? Great mindset stuff. I mean, Craig always brings in some stuff. He's always a storyteller too. He always wraps in a story in there with getting to his point. And I love that whole little chimpanzee scenario.
Well, that's how
he brought in.
That's how you can tell that he's been training people for a long time, because I mean, stories are always one of the best ways to kind of get to your point, right? You can visualize them.
People resonate with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
What stood out to me is that what he talks about is just super practical. I feel like, the
practical
culture,
but overlooked.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, it's, I even look at our own company and just how the culture happens here. And I mean, I would say that, I don't know, I think we found a pretty cool balance between vision from the top, but also like every new team member that joins the team just helps enhance the culture even more. And so I love that. I guess I feel fortunate that we don't necessarily perhaps have this issue, but I can totally, I've been in situations, and you have too, where it's like, oh man, what do we do? What I love about what he brought up is, you know what? Yeah, some of it is going to be a leadership thing, but there's so much. Like, stop focusing on what's out of your control and start focusing on the things that you can do that are in your control, that you can take action on right now to make your work experience better, to make your satisfaction at work better, and then, I mean, like we all know, that translates to better customer experiences, and at the end of the day, more relationships, more money. But yeah, it affects the ripple effect is crazy. So, I mean, that's what really stood out to me. The whole self-awareness thing is huge. And then take action, like change your mindset. Don't really worry about what others think or what they're going to do to steal your dream. Just do it, and you'll see a positive result.
Yeah, to me, it just comes down to, look, the opportunity is there no matter what environment you're in and what store you're in, no matter if you've got a lot of floor traffic or you're complaining there's not a lot of floor traffic, you're not getting enough leads, your managers suck, they're not buying the cars right, etc. The opportunity is still there. I think it just boils down to how much do you really want it? And then again, this kind of, what I started thinking about is back to our episode, I'm sorry, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I will even link it in the show notes for this episode, is back with Dwayne Cummings. It's kind of like understanding, like the more that you understand your manager, how they manage, how they don't manage, how they mismanage, as same with your peers and coworkers, is, if you want to be a professional and you want success and you want to capitalize off this opportunity, is understanding all of that and you reacting and acting accordingly, knowing their behavior, their mindset, their actions.
Yeah, basically, yeah, exactly. I mean, take control. Stop feeling like you're acted upon and all those sort of, and just take control. You be the actor, not the acted upon, and or the subject. And you'll see, like we've said, and like you heard Craig say through this episode, you'll see a massive positive impact, ripple effect throughout every other facet of your career in automotive. That's all we've got for you today. Thanks so much for joining us. Once again, super grateful for you guys sticking with us through 84 episodes. Check out the show notes, www.thedealerplaybook.com/84. We'd love to hear from you, so comments, join us on social media, on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you guys, and until next time, catch you later.
See you next time.